let's talk about the tight ends, the guys at the top of our rankings. I mean, no surprise. George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. Fitz, do you see it any differently?
Yeah, Kelsey, Kittle, Andrews.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Who are you relatively high on at the position?
All right, so I was really interested to see how people were going to regard Robert Tanyan coming off his bye this week, and it turns out I'm a little above consensus on Big Bob. I've got him at tight end 8, and all right, maybe I'm a cynic, but I don't think he's going to maintain a 26 touchdown pace here. But he did have 11 targets in the last 2 games. Granted, Devonta Adams was out, but I think they're going to keep feeding him with Aaron Rodgers having a I think 157.7 passer rating on throws to Tanyan so far. MVS has frying pans for hands. They do need another weapon in this offense. And this dude's good, man. I mean, Rodgers was saying it throughout the preseason, or not preseason, but training camp. Obviously it's been well publicized that Tanyan trained with George Kittle. This dude is good, and I'm ready to regard him as a tight end 1, I think.
I'm there with you, Fitz. And I have him number 9, Sean. I think you also have him ranked in that vicinity. Sean, who's someone you are relatively high on?
For me, it's TJ Hawkinson this week. He's my tight end 4, which is a bit surprising. I'm not really projecting him for much. It's 4 catches for 45 yards, but I think the increased scoring environment, I've mentioned it many times already, but the Lions have the second highest team total this week, so he has increased touchdown odds. And it's kind of a weird tight end week. I mean, we talked about the top 3. It's pretty much set in stone. But after that, it kind of falls off quite a bit. You have guys like Darren Waller, Jared Cook. I guess he doesn't really matter. Neither does Greg Olsen, and Hunter Henry are out. So, Darren Waller and Hunter Henry being out are 2 top 10 tight ends. So it's made it pretty bunched up in the tight end 1 range, which is why a guy like Robert Tonyan is up there. But TJ Hawkinson sticks out of all these guys as the guy with the most potential for, touchdown upside this week. Like I said, I think I'll be stacking Stafford, Golladay, and Hawkinson pretty heavily in DFS this week.
Rayvon, who do you like?
I'm going with Evan Ingram. It's been a kind of weird season for him, but he continues to run between 85 and 95% of routes per dropback each week. The football team is in the bottom 3 in terms of fantasy production allowed to the tight end position. And Ingram is one of those few guys that, he didn't do much through the air last week, but he did get that carry for a touchdown. He's right there with Jonnu Smith, another guy I like this week. Both of those guys, they can kind of smooth over a bad receiving day with a carry here and there. Kittle's like that too. So give me some Evan Ingram. We're going back to the well one more time in a spot where the Giants, I mean, if they don't get a win here, they might be headed toward 0-16.
Rayvon, I'm with you there on Jonnu Smith. I actually have him ranked number 3, which is aggressive, but it's assuming that there's no Corey Davis and Adam Humphries, or at least limited Corey Davis and Adam Humphries. And with those guys out, I mean, I think Jonnu is kind of already the number 2 receiving option within that offense, but with the numbers 2 and 3 wide receivers out, I mean, man, he's really the other guy there next to AJ Brown. And so because of the enhanced target volume, I would expect him to see, I would think of him as having a pretty decent chance of finishing in the top 3. Fitz, who are you low on?
So I think we got to slow our roll on Dalton Schultz a little bit with Dak out of the picture. He's tight end 7 right now at Fantasy Pros, and I would be right there if it was still Dak at quarterback. But, Dak was just magic for quarterbacks. He basically, like Dr. Frankenstein, reanimated the corpse of Jason Witten and made him a fantasy relevant tight end. He had us all excited about Blake Jarwin. He brought Dalton Schultz to life this year. And I just don't know if we're going to get that with Andy Dalton under center. So having him in the top 10 seems just a little bit of a reach to me. So he is now out of my top 10.
Totally with you there. Sean, I believe you also have Schultz outside of the top 10 or thereabouts, but who Who are you low on?
This one pains me because it's a guy I took quite a bit heading into the season, but it's Hayden Hurst. I have him at tight end 13 right now. I just don't think we can trust him. He just looked out of sync when it comes with Matt Ryan. And it's one of those things where maybe the lack of offseason could have affected this specific situation. They just don't have that chemistry. I think they will figure it out eventually, but just you can't trust Hayden Hurst right now. I expect Julio Jones to return this week. But yeah, it hasn't looked good to start. And he's a tough guy to drop because, like I said, I think he still has top 10 potential. But if there's a way you could just stash him on the bench for the next few games, I think that's warranted at this point.
Raybon, who are you low on?
Same guy I've been low on for like the last 3 weeks, Tyler Higbee. I mean, we need to stop ranking him as if it's his last season. Like, it's not. I thought he would be more involved. I was wrong, but I've been down on him these last 3 weeks. And again, you just have to look at these routes run numbers with tight end. And Higbee dropped under 50% last week, and it was Gerald Everett that ended up having the big game, not him. So Higbee's at about a 12% target share for the season. And that's what you would expect for a guy that's running about 50% of the routes per drop back and trending downward. So Niners gave up some big plays to Mike Gesicki, or a big play to Mike Gesicki last year, but we don't even know. We can't guarantee that will be Higbee and not Everett. So I got Higbee down at tight end 19 this week.
Okay. Raybon, for the rest of the episodes from here on out, what's going to happen is I'm going to say what I think, and then I'm going to ask you the question because I'm tired of you taking my guys. All right. Higbee was the guy I was going to talk about. I have him all the way down at tight end 27, which feels aggressively low, but let's be honest. He hasn't, as you say, he hasn't had all that much market share for the entire season, and it's gotten reduced in the past 3 games. 6% target share, 12% target share, 7% target share. And none of that even takes into account the matchup. And, the 49ers, they at this point have well-documented defensive woes because they are missing 6 starters. But one of the things they can still do, they can still defend the tight end position because they have Jaquiski Tartt at strong safety. And so it's a bad matchup for a guy who isn't even seeing volume at this point. So I think it's really easy to be pretty low on Tyler Higbee this week and for the rest of the season. Sean, give us the prop.
Fitz will like this one, but it's Robert Tanyan receiving yards. I wanted us to talk about him a bit. But I have his over-under at 35.5.
Oh, I'm over for sure. You knew
Good.
that.
I'll take the over. I'm looking at the target share that he's gotten over the past few games, and a lot of that has come without Devontae Adams. But now, especially with Alan Lazard out, someone still has to get those targets. And I think Tanyan, he looks like the guy.
Yeah, I think Lazard being out is what's kind of fueling this. Obviously, Devontae coming back will steal some targets, but I think Lazard being out for a significant amount of time will keep Tanyan in the tight end 1 discussion for sure.
Going under, and that's because I think that number one, Devontae does have a big impact on this, but number 2, if you look at the routes run per drop back in his big game, 71%. For the season, he's at 63%. So he's not seeing a massive increase due to all the injuries, just, maybe a couple extra routes per game. So I still think that there's a wide range of outcomes. I'll put it that way. Mercedes Lewis missed last game. We'll see what happens with him, but you still have other tight ends. Like you still have Friedman's guy, Sternberger. You never know when he's going to get a snap or two. They have a fullback, Jonathan Lovett, who gets snapped. So there's like a lot going on there to where I could see him having a blow up game, but I'm just not confident in kind of locking him in for a huge target share when he only went like 71% was just 1% higher than his previous season high in the second game, which was 70%. So he's right around, 50, high 50s to low 70s in routes run pretty much no matter who's been in or out of the lineup. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Nice shot there. Friedman's guy, Sternberger. By the way, how's your guy, Dan Arnold, doing?
He's terrible.
Daryl Daniels passed him up on the
Yeah.
depth chart this
He
week.
can't run block. That's one of the reasons Kenyon Drake is no, I've been reading about like the Arizona beat, like Kenyon Drake struggles. They're like putting it on Arnold. So it's not looking good.